What's happening, Andy here? I am joined today by Gary Lavin of CEO Juice. How are you, Gary? Good morning.
Excellent. Good morning, Andy. What's happening with you?
Oh, everything, my man. Good to see you. We got a busy fall coming up. We've just had a CDA meeting. I know some people were at a big meeting in Las Vegas this week. We've got IT Nation coming up next week. You're going to be there, and we'll talk a little bit about that. But it's been a while. I wanted to kind of catch up and just see what's happening with CEO Juice. What are you guys working on? Last time we chatted, I think we talked about some AI articles that you had written. So fill me in. What have you guys been up to this year?
Well, the biggest thing we're focused on is more and more automation. The goal is to try and automate as much of the business as possible. And you can only truly scale a business if you can automate it. If there has to be a whole bunch of manual duplicate data entry, that type of stuff, it just means you have to hire more people. If it's automation, you could just scale it up as quickly as you want. So that's been the focus.
So the automation, how do you guys go about doing that? So you're just to back up a little bit. You guys are a big data company. You work with I believe a lot of ECI dealers. Is that right? A lot of e-automate dealers. You guys help them make sense of what that information means in a lot of cases, if I understand that correctly. And so, you know, you're building bots, or how are you helping dealers with this, and what parts of their companies are you guys seeing them take advantage of this technology?
Well, so if you jump back to IT Nation, that's a ConnectWise conference, and a big chunk of our customers are now in managed IT. In fact, seven of the 10 largest copier the seven of the 10 largest managed IT companies are copier dealers here in the US. So they definitely own that space, and they need to automate it. And so if you're using ConnectWise for your tickets and then having to manually duplicate that data over in the automate, that's a ton of work. So we have an automation for that. But probably the low-hanging fruit, there's three parts of a dealer business that can easily be automated. Accounts receivable would be one of those three low-hanging fruits. We think we can fully automate the accounts receivable process. And the whole deal, equipment order to cash, a lot of manual work in that. We can't fully automate it, but we can do a lot. And then we're seeing a whole lot more of drop ship toners, even A3, and that whole process from the device saying it needs toner to checking that it should go, and then creating POs, all that type of stuff.
So do you guys come in and write the code for the dealer? Is this a package that you have available already for them? Is this a one-on-one, you work with almost all the dealers out there. You work with 90 something percent of them, if I remember correctly. But how does someone engage with you? A lot of them use you in different capacities, right? So
Yeah.
for someone
So
listening to this now, how does an office equipment reseller, you know, take a look at their accounts receivable and say, "Hey, Gary, help me out. What's that look like?"
so what we have is we have a business model where we charge a flat monthly fee and include everything for that fee. And we do that to encourage our clients to automate. We don't want to have, hey, you got to spend more money to turn on more stuff. We want to encourage them to automate. And so for that monthly fee, we have something like 830 different processes. And maybe our average dealer has 200 of those turned on. But if you wanted to automate AR, that process has a number and it's 669. So you would say, okay, I'm going to automate AR, that's 669.
So your site has I don't know would you call it a forum? You have an area on your site. I spent a lot of time on it, as you guys are a partner of ours, and I like to keep up with everything that you're posting. Um, is that a forum? Is that you just posting new
So
capacities? Is that interactive with with your customers? How does that work?
if you go to our website, there is a section titled Problems We Solve.
Yes.
And in there are all those 800 or so processes. And it's by default sorted with the most popular at the top. And so you just either think about, I have a problem, the CEO just have a solution, or what what are most other dealers implementing? Either way is fine. But if you talk about scaling and automation, then there's some areas that it's, that can be fully automated.
Well, you've got some complex things in that on that web page. I laugh because I'll look at it and understand some of that, but I look at a lot of what you guys do, and it goes over my head very quickly. You guys are in it with the sleeves rolled up and working at a level that it goes right over my head. Um, but the dealers like it, and the ones using you for these things that is this something that you're picking up more customers? Is this a growing area for you? How's the
Well,
success rate been?
yeah, I mean, we're kind of saturated, right? We of the medium large dealers, we have 98%, but there's a lot of small dealers. So we're still adding 3 or 4 dealers a month, but
Hey,
not many big ones left out there.
so AI and now AGI, right? This is the big push forward for you guys. Tell me about that.
Well, so so the evolution of AI is that we get to artificial general intelligence, and that's coming way quicker than people expect, and nobody really knows what that's going to look like, how it rolls out. It's going to be, super big companies that can afford to create AGI, but Microsoft is leading with their OpenAI investment, and we are heavily involved in Microsoft products. You will see that probably the vast majority of our clients are on Office 365, and so we started rolling out Power BI dashboards maybe 6 years ago, and we've kind of standardized on that for reporting, and we're starting to make those dashboards interactive, so people can enter data there, and Microsoft is doing things where you can basically talk to those dashboards in natural language and get answers back. So that's kind of the future. We see Microsoft playing a big role, and we're heavily invested in that direction.
Well, you always seem to be on the forefront of things. You guys are, working on stuff way before anyone else, I think, a lot of times realizes what you're working on. So, AI became a big deal in everybody's world when ChatGPT got in the news and we all heard about it. But, when you and I had talked about it in our last interview, we discussed how long you guys have actually been using different types of AI, not necessarily ChatGPT, but just different types of AI in a lot of the analysis and data manipulation that you guys provide as a service to your customers. Um, Moving to IT Nation, this is, a show you've been to a bunch of times over the years, and then last year you guys you co-hosted a booth with ECI. You're doing that again this year. Tell me about IT Nation. What you hit us with a little bit of a number there earlier that I thought was super interesting. I want to kind of bring that back up. 7 out of 10 office equipment resellers. What was it? 7 out of the 10
So,
biggest
7 of the
MSPs,
10 biggest
managed service.
MSPs worldwide are copier dealers here in the US. And that's because the average IT company, is one computer savvy guy who hires a few admin people and can scale a business up to maybe 3 million, but after that they can't. Whereas the the, the copier channel is just a sales machine. They have the process figured out. And if I started selling copiers in 83, and it has changed so much since then, from analog copiers to digital to color to fax machines. And every time that stuff comes along, a sales guy like me just goes, okay, I can sell it. How much am I going to make? And the same is true for IT services. This channel is superbly placed to own that market, and they are starting to. And so The first year I was at IT Nation, I think I saw a half dozen of our clients. There's probably 100 coming this year.
Yeah, it's ConnectWise, it's a big show. They're heavily involved with it. I remember last year being in a breakout session and and it was a breakout session specifically for office equipment resellers at that conference and it was some big boys in that room. It was the top of the top office equipment resellers, the Dexes, the Novatechs, the Marcos, everybody was in that room. And they're all sending their people to this show now. It's not like any show in our world, right? There were over 5,000 people there. Just I mean, the product fair was one of the most fun. Like I walk around trying to take my videos and pictures of it, but it just to bring back to people who weren't there, and it's challenging because it's enormous. I mean, it's a to walk around there and try to get the whole thing in a video. It's a long video. People don't want to watch that long, and maybe I speed it up a little when I edit it. But back to the conference, it's there's such good sessions, there's such good seminars, it's so informative, and there's just so many people there. It's a whole bunch of IT people looking for new vendors, new products, new services, and then you get in these sessions with some of your peers, and it's just a great show. Are you going to be doing any breakouts? Are you going to any? Are you giving any? How are you guys positioned for that this year?
We are, so obviously we'll be at the booth and at the bar, but the Office Technology Group, which is what ConnectWise refers to this channel at, there's a breakout session on the Wednesday. So there's a whole kind of day for those guys. And we'll be speaking a little bit at that session.
Very cool. Very cool. I remember there were two companies. It was you and ECI last year, and I think Great America also had a booth. And it's just interesting to watch, companies from, well, let's just call it our world, start to kind of move into that space as well. It's a great opportunity. A lot of dealers love it, and there's a lot of dealers who just aren't going to get into managed services, and everyone's got their reasons, but certainly a show like that is a place where if you're in it, you need to send your people because there's just too much there for you to just going on for you not to know about, and so that's next week. Moving along, you guys are closing in at the end of this year. You've got your big study you do every year. You guys are the ones who do NPS for the industry, right? So let's talk
Yeah,
about
so
net promoter scores and your
sure.
involvement with that.
And our goal is to help our clients become the best at what they do. And in order to do that, they've got to listen to their customers. And in order for that to happen, you've got to make it really easy to give feedback when something good or something bad happens. And so what I always stress when people talk about net promoter score, and it's basically just a number based on that, how likely you to recommend us to a friend or colleague question. And I see people, comparing numbers and it's not about the number. It's about having a bunch of raving fans as customers to make it easy for your sales team to sell more. So the goal is not to have a high net promoter score number. The goal is to have superb service and very happy customers.
Well, one thing kind of leads to another. They're definitely connected, don't you think?
Well, NPS just tells you how well you're doing. So
Yeah, it's a
I don't want
gauge,
to,
right? It's a
it's a
metric.
gauge, but don't focus on the number. Focus on taking care of your customers.
Yeah. Well, if you take care of your customers, that number should go up.
Agreed, agreed. And what we automate the process, excuse me, but there's a concept of what's in the industry. If you have a net promoter score of 70 for a full year, that's considered outstanding service. And so we track and give awards out for people who have world-class service. And then on rare occasions, we have what we call a perfect score, which is where every single response from a customer is wonderful. They love you, every single response. And that's quite a feat if you think about
So
that.
how many responses are there? Are you how does this work? Do you contact the customers on their behalf with a blind study? Are
It's
they doing, how does that, how do you get these results?
So we survey in a few different ways. The most popular way is after service calls, because that's what people care about the most. So when a service call is marked complete, we send an email to the person who placed the service call from our client. And the email goes, hey, as far as we're concerned, this is fixed. We want to check and make sure it's working to your satisfaction. And by the way, if something noteworthy happened, but only if something noteworthy happened, we'd love some feedback. And then they click a form, they answer the questions, and that calculates the score. And occasionally a client will come to us and say, oh, this customer made a mistake. They didn't mean to give us a bad score. And we're like,
It
hey,
happens.
we don't edit it. The numbers
Oh,
are the numbers.
it does
There's
happen
no
though. Somebody could click the wrong end of the scale.
right, but somebody could also click the right end of the scale by
You're
mistake.
right. You're right. You're right. But
So
no
we
editing, no changes, no takebacks.
it is what it is.
How
And
many,
then
how many of these surveys would a dealer that's doing that? You don't do it for all your dealers, but you do it for a huge number of them. I saw, I think a
oh,
couple hundred.
the vast majority.
Yeah,
Well, think about it. How many
there's
service
hundreds on that page. And it's
thousands?
amazing to me how high up as a, for the most part, everyone in we have a very high rating as an industry, wouldn't you say?
It's phenomenal how good our service is in this industry.
I mean, overall.
People don't think about it. A 2 hour response, you try to get anybody else to give you a same day response in any industry. It just doesn't happen. Our
Oh,
industry
don't
is
even get me started.
phenomenal.
I'm stuck here all day waiting for an electrician who will probably come in the middle of this recording, right? But I mean, to your point, that 2 hour window, when you put it in that perspective, I'm here all day waiting. And if you're a customer of most of the companies that, we all know and love, these office equipment resellers, these guys will have a technician in there with a truck that's loaded with the stuff they need to fix the gear, usually within 2 hours. And they usually, when I sold copiers, the deal was, we'd have a tech in there that day if you called in the morning, and it would be up and running that day. And if you called in the afternoon, we'd probably still get there that day and hopefully still get you. I mean, in the managed services world, that doesn't work that well. And I can see that as being a big advantage when copier companies move into that space. Once they get their legs under them, the strength is the service. It's just, it's
Uh, and the automation, so we do things like communicate with customers. We tell the end user when the tech is on the way. For some of our clients, that has a photo of the tech and a GPS link for the end user to watch the tech drive up to the
I
office.
love that. I love that
The
though. Don't
Amazon
you?
Uber style. Yeah. So
Yes. I
so
want
so
to know when he's coming. I want
that's
to
where
know.
these guys, were future technology. We're not, calling on saying, "Hey, I'm late." It's all fully automated. So,
And that's all tied into it's all tied into this program that you guys are coordinating for each of the dealers. Then you run a stack ranking. So how many, like an average dealer, how many customer ratings would they have? Do you rate? I mean, because you don't get
so,
all of them
so,
back.
so there are clients with thousands of
So it's a
response.
significant number.
Oh, there are clients with, think about it. How many service calls in a year? How
Yeah, but you
many?
got to get the customers to
Yeah.
respond. That's why I got out of research
Well,
because getting the responses is challenging, but it's amazing
we
that you're
we
getting these numbers.
we average a 10% response.
It's not
So
bad. That's not bad at all.
So it's just, imagine that number. Imagine having 1,000 responses in a year, and
Yeah.
every single one of them is not just neutral, but a raving fan. I
Well,
mean,
that's what you're after. And so that's the point of this whole tool, the Net Promoter Score. And dealers, some dealers promote it, they make a big deal about it, some don't. But it is a metric, and it does showcase, how much your customers like you. The Create Raving fans, I love that concept. I've seen some great presentations over the years. Kevin Morris, I remember one where he was, a dealer from he's in California, San Diego, did a session, and he talked about bringing ice cream, like tons of ice cream to his customers, just
yeah.
walking in out of the blue for an ice cream day, and just fun stuff like that to make customers love you, and that's part of it. It's every deal is competitive. Everybody's, got a pretty close cost per page, and sometimes it's these other things that put you over the top. And I know how I like to buy. I'll pay more if I like the company, if I had a good experience. Maybe not a lot more, but I'll definitely pay more. Wouldn't you? I mean, if
Yeah, yeah, and it's a quantifiable number. So most sales guys, copier sales guys, and remember, I still am one, I guess. They will say we have the best products, the best service, and competitive pricing, and I'm going to take care of you. And what the prospect here is yeah, you got the same best service and the same best products, and so I'm going to beat you up on price. If you start to quantify your service and say, well, okay, last year we had a net promoter score of 94.2, whatever it was. Last year, our uh, first time response rate was X, so just put a number on stuff and then you're not stuck in that same best
Yeah.
or
Yeah. They
below.
like to they like to buy from sales reps they like, and they like to buy from companies they like and had a good experience with. And if they're getting surveys like that, it's just a nice reminder to put in a proposal, right? That, hey, people seem to really like doing business with it, especially with a prospect that doesn't know you yet. And I think that's got to be fairly effective, even subliminally, just to see that in it snuck into a proposal where, a bunch of customers gave us, extremely high ratings. Look at ours compared to the other industries. And, it's what you want. You want your customers happy. And this is something that is a way to, like you said, quantify that. So very cool. And these results are coming out when?
So it's at the end of the year. So January 5th, we'll publish. It'll be a blog or we'll stick it out there.
Oh yeah,
And
I will definitely run that. I can't wait. Everybody who is watching this, if you're NPS ratings, hopefully you guys are all doing well with it. You can check in with Gary to see how you're doing. I think he sends updates throughout the year. Anyway, we're looking forward to seeing these come out in the beginning of January. So next week, have a great show. I won't be there. I'm dealing with some surgery stuff, but with a hip problem. But Jake will be there covering it. So take care of my little boy and have a great show out there. I look forward to seeing you hopefully at the beginning of the year at Executive Connection Summit.
sounds good. Thank you, Andy.
Great seeing you, Gary. Have a great weekend. Good seeing you. Thank
Bye.
you.